Okay, we are now live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Inside the Incubator. For those of you that don't know, an incubator can be the perfect bridge to take an idea and make it a business. But what really happens on the inside? So that's what we're going to try to explore in this weekly series that will be here every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. So my name is Kim Ewell, and joining me today are my colleagues, and I am going to have them introduce themselves. Together, we are part of the team that makes up NACET, which is an ecosystem where we incubate and accelerate business growth. And since this is our first episode, I do want to take some time to let you get to know who is going to be joining us on this broadcast each week. We will have different people join us on different weeks, but for today, we have a lovely panel of almost everybody inside the incubator. So I did mention that my name is Kim, and I am in marketing here at NACET, and I sort of consider my job to help businesses tell better stories. And I love the storytelling aspect of what I do, and I think the reason why I love the work that I do is that no day is the same, no story is the same, and it's really great to see the inspiration and excitement that new business owners have, and that's why I'm here. So I think with that, I'm going to hand it off to Annette.
Okay.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, I'm Annette Zinke, and I have been at NACET for 5.5 years now, and it's been really fun to see the growth of this organization from an incubator, one single site incubator, to what we are now, which is this fantastic network of incubators, accelerators, the Small Business Development Center. We do co-working and training, and it's fun to see that kind of evolution. We were 3 people when I started here, and now we're a team of 11 statewide, and it's for me, it's really exciting to get to work with this team of incredibly talented people and the entrepreneurs that we get to work with that are creative and resilient and tenacious, and I find that really energizing. So that's why I do what I do.
Who do you want to go next?
Kim froze. I have no idea what you said.
Brett, why don't you go ahead and take it from there?
All right, I'm Brett Carpenter, and I am the director of the Small Business Development Center at NACET. And so I've been here at NACET for a little over a year. I've been with the SBDC for about 4 years almost now. And I like working here at the incubator because, yeah, there's always something different walking in the door. You just never know. And I consider my job to help people manifest ideas and bring things into the real world, whether it be a product or a service, new business, whatever it is. And so I really enjoy working with all of our incubator clients as well as all our SBDC clients in trying to make things happen for them. So that's why I like it here.
Awesome. Thanks, Brett. Christine, you're up.
I'm up. Hi, I'm Christine Bailey, and I'm the Executive Director for the newest member of the NACET family, and that's Chandler Innovations, which is down in Chandler, Arizona. And what I love most is, I've only been here about 3-4 months, and so what we've been focused on is building out a business incubation and entrepreneurial development program. And one of the things I love most about what I do is that we're not only incubating and accelerating businesses, but also the entrepreneurs and the founders that are building those businesses. So as much as it is about supporting the business and helping the business grow, it's also about supporting the entrepreneur and the individual and helping them make the leap from previously an employee to being now the owner of a business, and the path and the journey that they go on to make that happen. That's what excites me the most.
Fantastic. Okay, Dan, you're next.
Cool. I'm Dan Beach, and I am the director for the Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurship, or MCE. And I've been with part of the NACET team for a year and a half, and I came to work at NASET MCE because my friend Trish made me. My wife said that if I did that, it would keep the Alzheimer's away. So on a day-to-day basis, I think the best part of it is being able to say yes to small businesses and help them get going, to home businesses and helping them to go beyond just being a home business. Discovering new businesses in Maricopa. Maricopa is a little tiny city. It's about 50,000 people. And I discovered yesterday a business with 50 employees. Interesting, none of them work in Maricopa. They have employees throughout the U.S. and Canada. So here is a very small town with a very big employer that's been hidden under the radar. And I got a chance to meet with their CEOs and help them through a trouble spot. So that's what is exciting for me.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And Trish, you're up.
Hi, my name's Trish Rensink, and I'm the director of the Incubator in Flagstaff. So, why do I do what I do, and what do I love about it? The reality is every time I get to work with a client and see them get excited about what they're doing, see the light bulbs go on, see them thinking about things in a new way, it's incredibly exciting to me. And I love tapping into the passion that so many of our clients have about their businesses and about their future, and I get to help them propel that passion and drive and be a significant support for them in making their dreams come true. And it's like, what could be better than that?
That's awesome. Thank you. And thank you guys for taking the time to introduce yourselves. I sort of want to start off by asking you guys what you think makes a good incubator. We know there are a lot of incubators out there. So what makes a good one? And then if you want to elaborate as to how we are a good incubator, because we are good, right? I mean, we should be. So jump in. I don't think we need to go down the line. If anyone has anything to say, I would say go ahead and say it.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So the characteristics of a good incubator in my mind is not related at all to the brick and mortar structure, although that's icing on the cake for an incubator. The real heart of the incubator is the programs and services that are being offered and the one-on-one coaching that we can offer. And along with that is being responsive to our client needs. We have to be continually listening to the changes that are going on with our clients and being responsive to them. And that keeps us on our toes, and that's an indicator of a good incubator.
I have some things to add to that. So I agree that the coaching and the access to people who really genuinely want to help businesses grow is incredibly valuable. And I also think that incubators need to be willing to say, we'll figure it out with you or for you, and mostly it's alongside people, because we don't know everything either, but we can make it a lot easier to go through this really unique process of growing a business. No two businesses are exactly alike. And I think it helps to have a group of people like this that are obsessive about helping our clients succeed. And so I'm talking about us specifically in this, but I think that, you know, some of the magic that happens in a good incubator is a group of people that are obsessed with helping solve problems and finding new ways to do things, and then not thinking there's just one right way to do it. There are 100 ways to solve any problem. So just having that creativity is really important too.
Anyone else have anything to add?
I think that every incubator has got to be different. I mean, there's something like, 5,000 incubators of some sort in the U.S., and if we were all alike, it wouldn't work. The typical incubator, like the one in Flagstaff, would not work in Maricopa. I'd be sitting here on my thumbs all day trying to figure out what I'm doing. So my incubator is different because of that. I do have some quote-unquote incubated clients. I mean, I have 4 resident clients, but even they're different. They're more like small businesses versus startups. And then I have another 40-plus other businesses that I just sort of consult with. They come in when they need me. They use our facilities when they need them. We're just different.
I love that. Anything else, guys? Okay, so with that being said, there is sort of a lack of studies on actually the kind of success that incubators provide for businesses out there. And in the absence of that data, how do you justify the benefits and the need of an incubator to people, to clients, to potential startups? How do you justify that?
I think.
I don't.
Everybody wants to talk now.
Who's going first?
You are.
You are.
Okay. As far as justifying an incubator and what we all do, it's really we're helping them clear out roadblocks. We're helping them get up the steep learning curve quickly. We're doing things that you could go and if you want to do enough research on the internet, you want to do enough noodling around, maybe you could figure out over time. But part of why we're here is to really cut down that learning curve and to grow the businesses faster, to bring them, whether it's out of startup or in the growth phase or whatever stage they're in, is to really help cut down their learning curve. And I think the people that we have here and in other incubators do that pretty effectively in their own ways.
And I would add to that, and I would say that one of the biggest things that we offer to them is accountability. So if you think about the fact that as a business owner, as a startup, as an entrepreneur, you're now the one making all the decisions, and sometimes that means that you're alone in making those decisions. That you need a sounding board. Sometimes you need a mirror. Sometimes you need someone to challenge you to think outside of your box, sort of push you outside of your comfort zone. To help you recognize all the different aspects of what it means to run a business. That now it's not just about R&D anymore. You're no longer just an employee. You're not doing marketing in a big company. You're trying to build an entire organization. And so I think that we are, the incubator is able to offer, increase that learning, shorten that learning curve, and also provide accountability and support and that one-on-one feedback and coaching that you're not necessarily going to find among your peers or or even among family and friends.
And I'd like to add something on to what Brett offered as well, and that is, yes, if you want to start a business, if you are an entrepreneur in a startup, is doing the research and figuring it out on your own really a good use of your time, and can you afford that? It takes time to be doing the research and figuring it out on your own, and when you figure it out on your own, there is always going to be rework, backtracking, and redoing it, and all of that is time consuming and cost money. And as entrepreneurs, you're bootstrapping the majority of time. Is that how you want to spend your time and money?
That's a good point.
The only thing I would add to that is that the best athletes in the world have coaches. There's no reason not to have a coach to help you outside of your own perspective to do things better.
Dan, anything? Or did it get covered?
No, I think it got covered.
Awesome. I was going to add on to what you said about the coach and the elite athletes. They don't get to elite on their own. You can be really good at something, but you never take that step unless you have someone there to sort of shove you over the cliff, if you will. So
out of the nest. This is the incubation metaphor.
So what makes a good incubator client? Because we all know that all businesses would probably jump at the chance to get help if they could, but we don't accept every client into an incubator. In fact, there's some studies that say that only like 1% of businesses actually enter into an incubator. And as more and more businesses start, what makes that business a good incubator client?
One of the things we've been seeing on our side. So they say start with a good idea, but to be a good incubator client, you have to go beyond the idea. And so as we're building out our program here in Chandler, we're considering, what different types of criteria, what kinds of commitment do we need to see from individuals who are interested in participating in our program? Is a good idea enough? What kind of time commitment are they willing to? Are they doing this on the side? And I think that all of that comes into play. So what we've been finding on our end are those that they've made this their full-time job. This is not a hobby. They've already gone after and done a lot of work, getting funding like an SBIR grant, getting funding. They're already doing a lot of the work, and so that I think those are really important criteria to consider. What kind of commitment have they already made? If we're going to commit our time and resources to supporting them, what are we seeing on their side?
So the things that I started out by saying why I love entrepreneurs so much are also kind of the necessary ingredients for a good incubator client. The tenacity and the resilience and the ability to keep getting up when you screw something up, because nobody gets it right from the beginning. And if you can't keep doing it when it's hard, and you can't keep getting up when you get knocked down, you're not going to survive in business anyway.
Very true. Trish, I know you have a specific quality for incubator clients that you've told me once or twice. Do you remember what it is?
Coachability?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if I have somebody in here and they're digging a hole and I keep yelling down the hole, stop digging, and they don't, it's going to be an issue.
And if I had a every one of those.
I think everyone's laughing for a reason. We probably all have encountered that, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not them. Sometimes it's us.
So we keep digging?
Well, no, we don't. We're not calling in their language or something. I mean, I had a breakthrough with a client this week and was like, I've been yelling "stop digging" for a year, and she just couldn't hear it. And but finally, it was like maybe it was the pictures. All of a sudden, she got I get it now, an epiphany of sorts. And I actually, after the fact, realized that it was me. It wasn't her. I was communicating poorly to her.
Well, and as coaches, we have to be attuned to how they're hearing us, and if we're trying to get a message across and it's not getting in, then we have to adjust and come at it from a different path.
Yeah.
But then, the difference is they may hear you and disagree, which is fine. There has to be a balance between knowing what's right for your business and figuring that out based on the information available to you. And so there are these three, there's understanding and not listening, there's understanding and disagreeing, and then there's not understanding. And I think those are all different kinds of challenges.
Yeah, but Trish, I think you bring up a really good point, though, in that not everyone hears or learns or understands in the same way, and that it's our job as coaches to really get to know our clients and understand, what motivates them, what excites them, what are what are they afraid of, what are they concerned about, so that we can help them through those roadblocks in a way that makes sense and resonates for them.
Is there ever a time when, as a coach, you might realize you're not the best coach for that person? And what are the signs of that happening?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Everyone's nodding.
Part of being a good coach is sending them to somebody else. I mean, every major sports team has got levels of coaching and specifications of coaching. And not every coach is going to handle every kind of player or every type of player.
Yep.
I think that's one of the benefits of having the team that we have. We have a lot of people with different skills, so we all have a lot of good general business knowledge, and then each of us has this depth of expertise in some subject. And so sometimes it's a difference in the set of experiences that makes it hard for two people to relate, but sometimes it's just personality. I mean, we all have very strong personalities, which is why I think we're such interesting people, but that doesn't mean that each of us could work with every single client.
And the other thing too is that sometimes folks will come to us and they think they want to start a business, but that's not necessarily maybe not necessarily be the next best step. And so recognizing resources that are available outside of the incubator that can help them through that process, because that's not necessarily where we can help them, but recognizing where we can direct them, because my motto is I don't ever want to turn anyone away without a good next step for them. So.
Fair enough. So Christine, when we were talking about what makes a good client, you mentioned, an idea, but it has to be beyond the idea. Mm-hmm. Can someone with just an idea become a client, or do they need to be further down the path? Like, when is it the right time for someone to join an incubator?
For us, we're actually right in the process of developing out those tracks. And for us, we've identified that we need them to be, if they have a hardware, they need to at least be close to developing out a prototype. And that's not to say that we don't have folks who are clients that aren't necessarily at that stage, but that where we can create the greatest value and impact and acceleration for them is that they've done some of that work. However, recognizing that there are folks out there that have really good ideas and they just need kind of a support system to work them through that process, we're actually developing out kind of what we're calling a feeder track. And so that's we're calling it solving a problem. So how can we help them think about the fact that they have to solve a problem for a specific market? What does that look like? And what do we want to help them walk away with so that they are set up well to enter an incubator, whether it's ours or another one?
And I would say, if somebody has an idea and simply wants to come in and discuss it and determine whether or not it's something they should pursue, absolutely. But Brett is the real expert on taking ideas to business. So, Brett, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I was kind of waiting, but really, since the small business development centers are all over the state, we are that free resource that anybody can walk into and get some help and throw that idea around with and be a sounding board and connect them to resources or whatever process they need. So a lot of what we're doing, and we're even doing a workshop next week on this, is really talking about, going from that idea or even the generation of the idea to feasibility and seeing, is it worth pursuing? And so there's a lot of steps to that. And Small Business Development Center, since we're ingrained in the incubator here, I think we're a great place to come down the hall and talk to. And you've also got them all over the state that if people need help, we're a great first stop. And then often, we're going to connect you with other resources, or you might be a great incubator client, and therefore we're going to recommend you go into the incubator and get that additional support. We're always going to be there, but small business development centers are a good resource for anybody that's just got an idea and wants to really throw it around.
Anybody else have anything to add? So
no, Kim, I'll add one thing to that.
Okay.
And that is that in Chandler, we don't, we also have someone from the Small Business Development Center who works out of the location here, because it is such a great resource, and not everyone is ready for incubation stage, and so we want to make sure that that we're connecting them with that resource. So same thing, yeah.
So to sort of move on that whole idea thing, so in tomorrow's newsletter, I am referencing a phrase that T.K. Kruger had mentioned, oh, did I say his name wrong?
It's Kugler, yeah.
Kugler, sorry. I apologize, T.K., if you're listening. He had said in a meeting, he's from Wasabi Ventures, that all ideas suck. And I will admit to being a little put off by that when he first said it. But I sort of mulled it around, and I sort of Googled a few things and came up with a really interesting take. So I'm talking about that in the newsletter tomorrow, but I sort of wanted to get your guys' take on that whole statement, that ideas suck. What do you think?
I love this topic. So I kind of agree. It's not that any idea can be a good idea. But there's a version of that expression that I like to use, which is a little bit less controversial, and it's no idea survives its first contact with customers. And I think Steve Blank said it. And it's true. No idea when it pops into your head looks that way once you get it into the market, because you actually have to get it in front of the real people whose problem you're solving in order to make sure that you're actually hitting that nail on the head. And so maybe there are brilliant ideas, but they're 1 in a billion, not just 1 in a million. And the rest of the ideas need some massaging to get into something usable. So do all ideas suck? That's sort of an attention-getting way to say it. And if you really want to boil it down, I would agree with that statement. But really, the more nuanced version of that is don't fall in love with your idea, because it has to change.
That's
Yeah,
really good.
and I would add to that is that your idea will change, and it really comes down to being the execution of the idea. The idea can, we've seen a lot of mediocre ideas be executed very well and go out into the marketplace and be successful. So yeah, there's that billion to one brilliant idea, but often the ideas that are successful are executed well.
Yep.
Hopefully it's a good idea and the market wants it and people want to buy it. But there's also, actually executing and bringing that idea forward.
We were just having that conversation here in Chandler, and that was along the lines of if you're tied to your idea, your solution, then you can get off track very easily. But if you're committed to solving a problem for a particular market and you reach out to that market for their feedback and input, then you're going to be that much more likely to come up with an idea, a solution that's going to truly solve their problem.
So fall in love with your customers or their problems.
Well, and you better have a problem that you're trying to solve, because if you just got a brilliant idea, quote unquote,
Right.
You're not solving a problem, you really haven't got a brilliant idea at all, and it does suck.
And I would never, and I'll say things suck, but I won't say that about ideas, because I don't want to discourage anybody from generating ideas. I don't want to. I want to encourage people to open your eyes and your mind to your surroundings and see things that can be better and see things that can be done, and what kinds of ideas can you come up to do that. Let's not discourage ideas.
Right. No, it's a good idea.
I really agree with that too. Who was going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say something. The other thing too is when I first heard that statement when you sent that to us, Kim, my first response was, ideas do suck. They suck because they require you to do something about them to give them any value. So that means you actually have to go and, like Brett said, you have to go execute on it.
Yeah. I think I used the term. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kim.
No, I was just going to say, I think I used the term, ideas are great when they're in your head, but eventually the bubble has to burst. Mm-hmm. And it has to come into the real world. And then you take it out to play. And that's when it becomes that annoying toddler, teenager, or whatever, because you have to sort of work with it and mold it, even though it doesn't really want to change. But anyway, that was my analogy. But you'll read all about that tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you have people like us poking at your idea with sticks quite often.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, so two expressions that come to mind. One is one of my favorite Stephen King things, kill your darlings. Because we fall in love with our ideas, and you have to be willing to get rid of ideas when they no longer serve your purposes. But the other thing is that the team matters so much. So ideas aren't worth anything. Businesses are worth something. And a great team can take a mediocre idea and make it fantastic and successful. But a terrible team can kill a brilliant idea. So who you go into business with and how you execute matters more than the idea itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in terms of, all right, our motto is we grow businesses. An idea is nothing other than a seed.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true.
Very true.
And it may not even be a good seed.
Yeah.
It could be very much a bad seed.
Go into. You have to plant.
All right.
10 seeds before one grows.
We just got really chattery at the end.
Especially, and now it's time to go too. Well, we'll come back and practice some more next week. So we are out of time. That has been 30 minutes. It actually went by really quickly, I think. So I hope everyone will join us back here next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. On behalf of my amazing colleagues that you can see down at the bottom of the screen, I want to say thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.